Megkezdjük a 11. átmenő előadásunkat, úgyhogy addig még így helyet tudtok foglalni, amíg hát egy kicsit így update-ellek benneteket, hogy mi minden történt nálunk. De most föltenném a szokásos kérdést, ami mindig elhangzik, hogy kik azok, akik most vannak először átmenőkön. Tök jó, üdvözlünk titeket! És a többiek azok pedig már mind voltak átmenőkön, és tudják, miről van szó, hogy fog zajlani az este. Oké. Hát akkor üdvözöllek titeket az első angol nyelvű előadásunkon. Igen, bejelenteni való, hogy még mindig van Firestarter magazin, és lehet foglalni nevetséges összegért cserébe. Ez egy ilyen Patreonon, igen, egy kérdés?
Egy kérdés. Két számban van?
Igen, a 3-as és a 4-es Firestarter magazinok.
Annyit fűznék hozzá, hogy a korábbi számok azok elsősorban írásban, és valójában ezek azok már így teljesen
Szóval ezek vannak náluk, a 3-as és a 4-es Firestarter. Azt hiszem Patreonon lehet előfizetni rá. Tehát, hogy mi most ezt így postaköltségáron hoztuk nektek, és a továbbiak pedig hát támogatásért cserébe a posta kiviszi nektek. Akármilyen címre, amit beírtok. Elmaradtak a show-ok mostanában az előadások elejéről, ami hát igazából nektek van, hogy így meg tudjátok mutatni magatokat, meg így megismerjen titeket a szakma, meg egymást, és szerintük szuper lenne, hogyha ez így megint visszajönne szokásba, úgyhogy halljál bátran, elképzelhető, hogy valami plusz előnyökkel fog járni az, hogyha show-ra jelentkezel, ezt majd tudatjuk.
De annyival biztosan, bocsánat, hogy biztos jegy.
Igen, biztos, hogy itt lehettek. És sztárok is lehettek 10 percet. A következő Art Network az pedig december 7-én lesz, ezt már így talán tudhatjátok is, vagy még nem. Ezt nem mondtuk el? Oké, szóval december 7-e, és nem előadás lesz, hanem így magunkat adjuk elő valami becsületsügyesztőben, aminek a pontos helyét még nem ismerjük, de egy ilyen jamboree lenne, ismerkedés, beszélgetés, szakmázás, stb. Ilyen karácsony előtti lazulgatás. És a jövőbeli előadások 2019-től azok hát a visszajelzett igényeitek alapján kerülnek majd megrendezésre, szóval olyan témák lesznek, amikre ti azt mondtátok, hogy ezek érdekelnek titeket, úgyhogy nagyon fontos, hogy így, illetve nagyon sokat segít, hogyha visszajeleztek az ilyen kérdéseinkre, mert akkor így egyre jobb lehet ez az egész. És majd arra is kíváncsiak lennénk, ezt majd szintén valami ilyen kérdések formájában online felmérjük, hogy az angol nyelv az mennyire probléma, nem probléma, és hogy hogyan fogadjátok. Úgyhogy mivel nincsen show, ezért el is fog kezdődni az előadás, ami az INDE Augmented Reality szolgáltató cég előadása lesz Xava Fragosóval és Sóstai Zolival. Xava lesz az, aki így általánosságban fog beszélni nektek arról, hogy is néz ki egy ilyen cégnek a működése, és Zoltán pedig egy kicsit így a technikai részébe fog beavatni titeket. Annyi, hogy budapesti székhelyű ez a cég, Angliából indult, Londonból, és hát még megtudtam, jövő héten már Los Angelesben mennek irodát nyitni. A klienseik között a BBC, National Geographic, Warner Brothers, Disney kaliberű cégek vannak, és hát mobilra és saját platformra is fejlesztenek. Át is adnám a szót. So, welcome our first English-speaking presenter, Xava Fragoso from INDE company.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get my mark. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you so much for the presentation. Those are the kindest words that I have ever. I cannot speak Hungarian, so I didn't understand that much. So, thank you so much. But I guess that like you introduce
those were kind words.
Yeah. Thank you. So, this presentation is augmented reality, a content perspective. So as it was mentioned, well, let me introduce myself. So I'm in Xava Fragoso. If you like feel that I have a funny accent, it's because I'm from Mexico, right? So my English is a little bit Mexican. So and I'm an architect, so I study architecture in Mexico, in my home country. But then studying architecture, I started to work with 3D visualization, and I was amazed to spend hours looking at the screen and waiting for a render. So I decided to follow this career path. So I then moved to Barcelona to study digital art. So I started to go deep into the 3D, but also programming, and I started to get to know the world of virtual reality. So I was working in a virtual visualization lab as a 3D artist. Then life happened, and I moved here to Budapest because my wife is Hungarian, so I moved here. So yeah, that's the full story. So I started to work here more in advertisement and also in product, like digital product design. And then I joined INDE some years ago as a director of product, and then I'm the chief product officer. So I have some background on that is not super technical on the 3D part, but I have some reference. So I would like to share the work that we do at INDE. So INDE, as it was mentioned, is a company focused on augmented reality. We have our HQ here in Budapest. It was born as a British company, but the heart and soul of our company is based here in Budapest. And let me play a video that is like a reel, so you will see a little bit of the projects that we have been doing during these years. So as I mentioned before, the core of the technology that we are using since 2011 is augmented reality and computer vision. And we apply these things to create products and experiences for entertainment, education, marketing, and we have lucky enough to work with some of the biggest brands in entertainment. So but it's important to tell about this augmented reality and computer vision, that we don't consider this just as technologies. It's also a technique, and a technique that we need to translate to our customers in order to achieve their own their goals. And what is interesting with these technologies is that we are at the dawn of a technological revolution. So these two technologies will change the way that we interact with the digital world. So augmented reality augmented the world around us with digital content, and computer vision as the ability of cameras to see what humans can see and react upon that. When I started to explain the work that we do, years back it was this conversation regarding AR/VR, and if you see any article about this, always getting together, and as the development of the content is pretty similar in some cases, it's important to differentiate that while virtual reality is just replacing fully the world around you, augmented reality tries to enhance your own reality with this digital content, which in a technical perspective is more challenging. So we choose the hard way. In this visualization, we can just see how it's a really nice visualization from the National Film Board of Canada or something like that, but it's really good example. So some of the examples that you saw in the video, you might have seen it on videos on YouTube or all over the web. And we call this a cinematic augmented reality experience. So that's the flagship product that we have is called WRK. And I really like this product because it's what we call augmented reality for dummies. It's a really simple setup in which we use these techniques of alpha video and a camera feed in order to see yourself next to a dinosaur, for instance. And it's important that when we started, this was the best smartphones of 2011. So when we talk about augmented reality today, we just think about mobile. But back then, it was super challenging to develop a great experience in these smartphones. So the decision to create the content is something that it was relevant and engaging for an audience. It was to forget about the small screen. Let's go to get a bigger screen and then just put some dinosaurs on it. And it went really well. So now I will go in detail on this on the content creation. Later we will go deep into the technical part, but what we see here is again something that is super simple, but still is magical for the audience. Because you don't need to download an app, you don't need to wear a headset, you just need to be there, and it's what we call an instant wow. But it's interesting after installing this kind of experiences all over the world, is that the smile of a kid in China is the same as the smile of a kid in Guatemala, which makes these things super powerful when you think about the narrative or creating one experience that is memorable for the visitors. it's good to see back these videos because a lot of the first times that we tested here in Budapest, so you can recognize some of the shopping malls here. So it's good to look back. Some experiences that were born here and then we deploy everywhere in the world. And as I mentioned before, so it's immersive, it's non-intrusive, and it's collective. So it's a glimpse about what the future will bring when we will have, really smart glasses that we can wear every day. This is just a glimpse into the future. But we also learned that we needed to don't just rely on other people's platforms. We needed to create our own platform. So that's why in our process we create the hardware, we create the content, and we create the software as well. So obviously based on some rendering engines that you know, but it's the idea to control the full process in order to have this kind of quality. Obviously, after years of having these experiences, the product itself starts to develop in the same way that the audience starts to develop. So the need of interaction is real. And that's when we needed to make a decision to jump from pre-rendered content to live rendered content. And by making the decision, what we considered it was to, because not always we control the space that we will be having these experiences. So we needed to have the flexibility to adapt, for instance, the camera position or the size of the character. So a lot of decisions that previously we couldn't achieve, we could make it now by switching to live render. Obviously, there's some differences in the quality, but then again, the important part of this thing is to understand where the content will be consumed. So it's not the same to produce something for a 4K screen that you will be watching some feet away, but the illusion of being there. This little girl doesn't mind if the form of the animal is not perfect. She's enjoying the illusion. So, and it gave us the opportunity to be more flexible in our product. So that's kind of a regular setup. So you can see that the people is enjoying, the screen is big, it has some distance, so we could make some compromises on the quality content, the pre-render versus the live render. Most of the examples we have seen is about animals, creatures, because there's some kind of fascination that we have, and also some special needs in order to be used in our platform. But when we are talking or thinking about the ultimate kind of interaction, again we took some of the technologies borrowed from the cinema and applied it to some of our products. So you can recognize here. It's a motion capture system, so we were invited this year to present some of our products and projects to SIGGRAPH, and we took the live avatar product that we have. And the principle of live avatar is very simple. In the same way that for motion pictures, an actor can use a motion capture system in order to bring to life a digital character, we are applying the same principle for live events. But it's important with this level of interaction is that then like we take one step further than this illusion, and like having this the reaction of the audience to a digital character that is talking to you in real time. It's really engaging. In the same time, it's super complicated because like motion capture systems are supposed to be on a very well-controlled environment, while these kind of setups are not super controlled. So we need to make some kind of trade-offs on these kind of presentations. But then one thing that we learn on this thing is that sometimes is the medium itself, or the narrative, the AR narrative, or just being in front of a screen and watching yourself next to a digital character, is more important than the realism. It's more important that the ultimate, like the ending result of the quality. This is a project that we have this summer with Disney. And one of our products is like photo booth size augmented reality experience. And we have short time, and we didn't have like sorry, a lot of the assets available, but we needed to. Sorry. So this is the kind of interaction that you can have in this photo booth. So as you see, it's pretty simple. It's a 2D character animated just in the right position in order to create this illusion. But the result of these things, it was like we had like in 3 days we have like 2,000 pictures taken. The people were queuing to do these things, and then like one of the things that we felt it was like probably is not the best, like the highest character that we have created, but when the medium is right, it's also that you can like have some advantages. And that takes us to another situation, the uncanny valley in augmented reality. So when we start creating these humanoid characters, obviously, like the uncanny valley is even stronger in AR. So sometimes, again, we look into which other technologies we can apply to our own platform, and having the base of like high quality content and having levels of interaction. So I will show you another experience that we made also at the beginning of this summer. It was a project that we made with Adidas, and again, like the approach to don't enter into the uncanny valley was different. So. You're right in this event. You have the opportunity to perform your best tricks in front of myself.
The task was to create an augmented reality experience that allows freestyle footballers to play in front of the screen, perform some football tricks, and wait for Marcelo to react on the performance, whether it was good or bad. This was an idea that came from Adidas, and one of their creative teams approached us to create this experience.
They saw some of the things that we do with augmented reality on the experience, and especially for the interactive elements that we can have. So they asked us if we can deal with humans and not just with dinosaurs. The broadcast platform was perfect fit for this project.
Normally we create 3D animations that we overlay on the live camera feed. This time it was 2D. It was obviously the shooting with Marcelo that needed to be key for the broadcast air inclusion. It was difficult and different because the VFX post-production required a lot of specific settings on location.
We received like 1 week in advance or something, that we needed to be ready to the Ciudad Deportiva of Real Madrid. And that's a very special place, because mainly it's where the players train, and also they have media days, so they can do this kind of projects with with the sponsors.
The most challenging and most difficult bit was to make sure that all teams know when what needs to be done.
It was kind of like a military approach. We needed to be on time, we needed to rely on local providers. So we started the production here, talking every day with the suppliers, and then arriving there and timing everything. So a lot of rehearsals in the previous day, setting up the studio, setting up the lightings, rehearsals, and to be prepared for the day. Yeah, just 1 hour to should do
For the green screen solution, we have to set up everything up because we have to record everything in the stadium, basically in the car park.
The hair was a very crucial part of the production. We really struggled with it, but at the end, after so much tests and rehearsals, it turned out to be great.
We brought the files, data, to our different slides. We have to set up a sequence so that each sequence then be recorded. The start position and the end positions to match correctly, and of course, once I was there, had to match the start positions and the end positions.
You can perform your best tricks in front of myself, and it will be judging in real time with the reaction, positive or negative. So all this part of an interactive system that allows you to have a memory, like in the form of a video or an image after you perform. So it's a good experience. As you can see, like, we could have choose to go and recreate Marcelo in 3D, but the result it would be as good as it was by going to the good old route of a green screen and turning him into basically an animated character that you could control through an iPad. So that was like really interesting in the way that we can use something that it wasn't meant to be in order to fit it into our platform. And as you have noticed, like, the big chunk of this conversation hasn't been about mobile. And like in 2018, every conversation regarding augmented reality just focused on mobile devices. So we have always, recognized the challenges of developing for mobile, and again, like, something that now started to be a little bit more commoditized. In terms of technology, we started struggling. So this is a project that we did for Guinness World Records and back then in 2013. And well, let me play the video. as you can see, it's something that now, even if it's just 5 years old, it looks a little bit old, right? But that's the truth. Like if I enter into LinkedIn and I start to see a lot of like marker-based AR experiences, and it's like now it's become a little bit like easier for developers and for content creators to focus into the narrative and the objectives that you have as a company, as a brand, or as a way of communicating with your audience, and make it not not focusing on the hard things of the technology. One of the things that when we talk about mobile augmented reality, that comes always in every presentation, discussion, or whatever, it's Pokemon Go. So it was a way also for the marketers to push the investment into augmented reality and say like, okay, now don't worry about virtual reality because augmented reality will be the next big thing. But the truth is that Pokemon Go, it was something that it's more like a preview of what will come in 5-10 years. But this augmented reality with location-based content, it's something that we also tried some years back when it was a little bit more difficult. So I will show you the project and then I will explain a little bit.
Died out more than 65 million years ago. But thanks to 21st century technology, the dinosaurs, and I should know, are making a comeback. Fossils are being uncovered all the time, and the island's dinosaur museum receives around 70,000 visitors every year. And now technology is being used to boost dinosaur-related tourism with a new interactive phone app. Today is the first time that dinosaurs are walking on this planet for 100 million years. Nothing less than that.
So augmented reality is coming to our phones, but it's not the best way to consume augmented reality. That's something super important that every day we start to understand a little bit more. This is not the most wonderful example, but what is important is that this was our first experiment with Apple's AR kit. Apple's AR kit is super powerful in the same way that the Google AR Core is super powerful, in the same way that Facebook is trying to do something with their own AR platform. With this, what we know is that now we are in this period of learning. In this period of the big guys are providing the tools for creators in order to understand the language of AR. If they are investing a lot of money on these things, they are not doing it just because random reasons. The truth is that it will expand. Once that we detach this information from the screen and have it in front of our eyes, that will be a different game. But in the meantime, let's say the highways needs to be built. So it's a little bit of if you remember when we didn't have Google Maps, Now we give it for granted. Now it's there, and like I can arrive here super easy because I have the information and I don't think about it. But the effort that came in order to build that structure, like we were used to laugh about the cars and mapping the world. So now imagine the effort that was to mapping the world, to have Street View and to have maps, but now to map it on 3 dimensions. So it's going, it's happening, but it still requires a lot of effort. Now I want to introduce my friend and content director from INDE, Solid. So he will give the most technical part, and then we'll wrap it up.
So hey everyone, I'm Sóstai. I work as a content director at INDE, and I was asked to talk a little bit about our different production pipelines at INDE. We have 2 different pipelines at INDE. Actually, one is a pre-rendering pipeline, and the other is a live render pipeline. And within the live render pipeline, we have sort of 2 different approaches. One approach is for the PC, and one approach is for the mobile. And actually, the way we do live render is through Unity. And if you've seen the content, content-wise, what we create is basically 3D animation. And there's not much difference between usual normal 3D animation created for, let's say, games and for our augmented reality platforms. But since what's going on the screen is a little bit different, we sort of have to face different problems. Like, for example, with the PC approach, we're not really limited by the hardware. We're more like limited by software unit itself. But for the mobile AR platform, we are really sort of limited by the hardware right now, because as you can see, something like this. Okay. So this was a mobile AR experience that we developed, and as you can see, the problem with such approaches is that most of the times the content is not really photorealistic. It cannot be because of, not because of Unity's limitations, but because the hardware limitations. So whatever they say to you, mobile phone technology is really lagging behind PC technology. I would say that it's about 10 to 15 years behind the current PC speeds, and it's really hard to create something that even fits in the reality, because with augmented reality, the key part of creating something that on your mobile phone that you seem to experience as if it were really there is creating shadows. The complex shadows are really important, and the problem with current technology is that you don't really have any sort of normal shadows. You don't have GI shadows within mobile phones. So we took another approach, and we took ambient occlusion as an approach, ambient occlusion on the mobile phones. And what you can see here is played out on an iPhone 6s, I believe. And that's, I believe, the minimum hardware power that you can operate these days. And as you can see, the ambient occlusion under the Rhino's lenses really connects the augmented reality experience, the 3D part, to the actual live camera feed. And well, the ambient occlusion is not really high quality because you can't really play out high quality with mobile phones. So, as you can see, there are quite hardware limitations on mobile AR platforms. Everything else is basically something that we can do. So we can feature bump maps, we can feature normal maps. We could technically even feature displacement maps. And since we are usually operating with 1 or 2 animals, this means that we can be really hard in the texture quality. We can push out even 4K textures for mobile applications. And in terms of shaders, we can apply basically everything that Unity is capable of playing out. But the limitations are, as I said, on the hardware side. So I would say that right now is the time when it's possible to create an almost believable augmented reality experience in mobile phones, but we're not really there yet. We try to experiment with that, and I think we somehow managed to create a more believable experience than with Pokemon Go, of course. But you know, it has, our mobile technology has some limitations. Yeah, with the PC-based library technology, we can basically use everything that is under the hood of Unity. Okay. So that means that we can utilize subsurface scattering, all kinds of ambient occlusions. That scene has 3 different ambient occlusions on it. We could use potentially 16K textures, bump and scroll maps, even displacement maps. And yeah, that's a very strange content for one of our customers in Dubai. They want a giant spider and a giant scorpion. Here comes the giant scorpion. Yeah.
We needed the money, so thank you.
So sometimes, as you can see, we can hit the PC really hard with Unity, and we can hit it harder than I imagine anyone within the game industry can, for example, because they can't utilize everything. Yeah, and that guy has NVIDIA Hairworks hair on him as well. So it's basically everything that is right now available under the hood of Unity, visible here. Okay, so yeah, and as you can see, again, while live render, the only way to connect the experience with the live camera feed is via ambient occlusion. Unfortunately, GI is not there yet. Okay, and then this is our next creation. This is what we're developing currently. This is a live avatar character. I wanted to show you this because this is also again something that we are pushing the hardware limits with. This is also something that we can utilize the full power of a 1080 Ti. And we can play out such a character totally normally, operating in normal speeds in real time. The focus here, I guess, from a technical point of view, is not on the shaders and lighting and so on, because right now, I guess, it's basically pretty standard to use HDR lighting and then with occlusion, even with the engines such as Unity. But the focus is on how we're using all these techniques, and how we can use all these techniques together. And again, I don't really believe that anyone in the game industry can do this right now, because they are limited, because they have to use lots of characters in one scene, they have to build lots of environments, and they have to build a bigger, huge environment. Okay, so the face is, it looks weird because it utilizes face for live, as it was fed live into the character, and we're also seeing that the woman character has NVIDIA Hairworks hair, which is totally dynamic rendered in real time, and actually takes about 70% of the GPU's power consumption. So it's That's very interesting. Okay, so the character can speak, can behave, I won't say naturally because we're getting uncanny valley here, but you know, it's always hard to come up with a solution for the uncanny valley, and I think that right now we're in an age where we can potentially do this. And I'm pretty sure you've seen live motion capture driven characters like this character out on the internet. But what we're doing is that we're applying all those techniques. We're doing basically everything with the hardware in the shop, and we're putting this into an augmented reality environment, which currently, as I believe, none of our competition does. Okay. So, and I wanted to talk about a little bit about our pre-render pipeline, okay? Because within the company, there's different pipelines as well, production pipeline as well. That is, of course, not based on music. It's a pretty standard Maya, Redshift, and After workflow, as you can see here. But the key thing is that until the animations are rendered, you can basically work the same way, and then the production takes a white screen only at the end. So the only difference is basically that we're not rendering live, we're rendering everything out via Redshift. And so yeah, as you have comes up, you send the water. So within the pre-render pipeline, there is nothing extraordinary going on in the background. It's, as Xava said, it's basically an alpha-based video. Of course, it's 3D animated content, and we're just basically applying the right content to the right background with the right settings here, and then the right points. Enough? No. So, I'm getting back to the microphone to Xava. Thank you. And just to close this conversation, like the interesting question for us is also where all this is going. So we show that we cannot rely on other platforms in order to create our experiences. So we build it. We know that mobile is getting more powerful, but the next logical step is the wearable devices. I'm going to show you a little example. It's just when we started to our first HoloLens demo. It was again like this was the first device that actually get close to deliver the promise of what an augmented reality or a wearable device will provide to the consumer. The fact that you don't need to put an iPad in front of your eyes, but you're like wearing the device. The fact that you can have gesture control to liberate your hands, you can have a speech control, you can have a device that is powerful enough not just to render content, but to understand the environment where it's placed. So today we have our phones that, you know, like they know exactly where in the world we are, but these devices will take you to the next step in which it will understand that there's a table here, not just that we are in the 6th Street or we are close to Andrashi. It is like how many people is here. All this kind of information we will receive it through those devices.
it won't come easy. So as of today, we don't have the iPhone of augmented reality, and it won't come anytime soon. The most likely it is that it will be more like kind of an environment, that it will be like step by step growing in order to deliver this information in the right time. If you notice, for instance, that like how Apple has been behaving in the past years. So now I have in my pocket a super powerful computer, right? Now I have in my wrist another way to interact. I have some AirPods that like allow me to communicate directly without like using nothing but my voice. So then the last step is something that I can watch in front of me. So it's getting really exciting, and that's why when you are working in this kind of environment, you need to manage expectations. Like I know that with your clients, with your deliveries, you also need to manage expectations, and that takes me to this specific frame of. If you haven't seen it, you should see this Netflix episode from Abstract. This is publisher, one icon in graphic design, and this is a graphic of a meeting when you present. When you present your project first, like the first round of revisions, like everyone is happy because now it's tangible. Now we can discuss. But then we start to look deep, and then I don't like that color, or I don't like that line. So you make some concessions, and you go down. Then you make some adaptations, and you go up as well. And then you need to leave the room, because if not, like we enter into this vortex of eternal modification. So especially when you are working with this kind of technology, you need to manage the expectations pretty well. So one of the steps that we do is to first helping our client to understand the full setup. Like that's what you will receive. Then we have like so this team create this wonderful visualization in order to our customers to understand how it will look at the end. For a project that I guess one of our biggest projects at the time with Sunday Australia, I think. So we are creating a lot of this kind of characters. And again, before going into like the full production, again, show them not how it looks, but how it behaves. It helps, like when they start to see how these characters comes to life. It's always, like when you gradually get these customers, these clients into your world. And at the end of the day, this is what matters for us. This was one event that we had like last month in China with some of our products. And what is important here is not what they are looking, but the feeling that they are receiving. So it's something that it is the fuel of this company to create experiences that it's not about the technology. It's about how you can find the language and translate this augmented reality language for the people. At the end of the day, those are the people that will be consuming your content, and it's always emotional. Augmented reality, it is a visual medium. It's super visual, but also it's super emotional. So I think that's one of our goals, just like having happy clients and happy visitors. And what it takes to work for INDE, that's something. It's a really nice place to work, and now we are looking for a 3D generalist. But this is kind of the things that we are looking into someone that can come to work with us. If you are interested in this kind of work, and you have some curiosity about the skill set, just drop us a line at Work at Industry, send us your material, and we will review it. We will go back to you. But thank you very much. It was really good for us to share this with you. And if you have any questions, like now is the time to bring it. Thanks.
Szóval most lehet kérdezni, hogyha bármit szeretnétek még megtudni. Fordítjuk a kérdést. So it's time for question and answers.
I don't know how familiar you are with the video game industry, But in the past few years there have been a few tries in making AR video games, but nothing major have been picked up as far as I have. So I'm interested in your opinion. How do you see, will it ever get picked up by this technology? Will it ever be picked up by the video game industry? Or do you think there is no demand for it in this kind of medium?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. And actually, one of the driving forces for the future of augmented reality will come for gaming. And that's, now is a period when developers are starting to understand the medium, and then are shaping their stories accordingly. So if you see the first games of Pokemon Go, it was more about the IP, and it was because it makes sense. It makes sense because this you are out in the world trying to catch them. So that's why it makes sense. So little by little, I think that we will start to see more and more games that make sense. Because at the end of the day, like one thing that augmented reality cannot do is to turn a bad idea into a good one. So we, like, after Pokemon Go, we received a lot of emails like, hey, I have an idea for a game. What if we have dragons flying in the city and we need to catch them? So like, yeah, that sounds extremely familiar to Pokemon Go. What's the sauce? You know what I mean? So I think that now it's a little bit of understanding the capabilities and place augmented reality where it makes sense. And also the truth is that, like, holding your phone for a long time like this is not convenient for gaming. So we will, like, developers will start to understand where to place it. One of the most engaging games that I have seen is Candy Crush. And its graphics are like this, the screen is like this, and I'm like this. When we start to see augmented reality Candy Crush, that will be something interesting. And it will be a game that probably you want, like, play in your commute. But you know, like the narrative will need to make sense in order to bring it to your game. So yeah.
Thanks.
A more technical question. I saw that you didn't utilize any sorts of fake reflections in front of a really glossy floor. Do you plan on taking some sort of fake SSR, so screen space reflection, into your later workflow, or are you planning to analyze the environment that you're placing your project in to have a better immersion?
Yeah, totally. Like one of the elements that makes a great augmented reality experience is when you cannot distinguish the 3D element from the environment, and for that you just don't need reflections. As he mentioned, shadows are like super important. Like occlusions, contact shadows. This is the things that we are doing for our own broadcast AR platform for our big screen things. Our research and development department is already working in solution in which they take the camera feed, then analyze it, and they make the segmentation. You know, this is the back, I'm in the front, so I can put myself out and make a character go behind me or in front of me. So it's something that we are doing. So far, there's still a lot of things like that, or in mobile application have, I don't know, like real-time reflections through the camera. It is something that it could be done, but sometimes it's the performance of the devices are not good. So we always try to push forward first the things that enhance experience and that, you know, like the drives the narrative. In that respect, like for instance, shadows are way more important, but definitely we are considering how to integrate better the 3D content into the lab environment.
Is it working? I saw that you were asking about video games, and you were showing a lot of things like how to entertain people on a shopping mall, or let's give people something which is close to reality, but it's mostly entertaining. Do you have any plans or any vision for the future where augmented reality could be used for, I don't know, working environment, education, I don't know, looking at an object and it's telling me how hot it is, what are the measurements of it, or like, you know, science fiction things like.
Well, it's
science fiction.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, like now, like INDE is our kind of entertainment part, but we have another branch that we started this year called hívunk, and it's a range of products more focused on this kind of solution, more enterprise solution and not entertaining. For instance, we have a set of products that what are they doing is more helping in this kind of things. Use a computer vision, like one example of our applications. In the same way that you now link the information of a physical product, now we have applications that just by recognizing the product that you're holding, let's say for instance one of the examples that we have is one prototype that we were working with bands. So they have a specific range of models, right? They have like 5 different kind of sets. So our research and development department started to create machine learning algorithm in order to identify these specific products. That turns into one desktop application and one mobile application. That basically what you do as a customer is to take one of the shoes, put it in front of the camera, and have all the information related to that specific product trigger on the screen. We just released one app that we have been creating for a while for a Jordanian pharmaceutical company, in which works in the same principle, in which with a mobile application, you can just point your camera to one specific box of medicine and have the related information of this. So the applications of augmented reality are vast. Like I won't ask what do you think that augmented reality will disrupt? It's like what won't be affected by augmented reality, and especially computer vision, the ability of these cameras. Like what else can I do with my camera? That's the question that we are always asking. I can recognize people. I can recognize products. So one of the things that we are moving forward with this new alternative company that we are creating is to make available for consumers and brands what we call the AR real estate. AR real estate is like all the information that you will have in the AR cloud based in your products and in your physical location. So yeah, like we are doing some of those works already.
My question is there any specific AULA, there is some new generation of lawyers who are began to learning about the harms of augmented reality. For example, you see a visual spider, or you're playing a horror game and you may be get a heart attack and you die. Or maybe you are scared and you got PTSD after playing the game or seeing something in the air. Do we have any young generation of lawyers or legal stuff in this matter?
No, that's a really good question. We are still trying to deal with the GDPR kind of war. So in that sense, it will be one of the biggest issues in the future. Like not just regarding what kind of content you will receive, but how can I be more aware of my own privacy? And these technologies will bring that problem sooner than later. In a way, I'm positive from the technical point of view, and I'm negative because I know humans, and that's the thing. We will screw it up. That's the thing. But the truth is that with all these Facebook things and privacy issues. The truth is that we are little by little being more responsible for our own digital print. And that will extend to our AR persona. And I think that, no, we don't have the new generation of lawyers. We are trying to educate ourselves in order to... One of the things that we are doing is to be responsible with these technologies. So it's true that probably you have seen that video that is a freaking nightmare of augmented world and everything. Like, why on earth I want to see an ad of this beard now? Like, why? Because that's the old model. But with this kind of technology, we can deliver a different message from your brand in a different context without the need of dressing up of my polar bears with a Coca-Cola jersey. So that's the thing, it's a different kind of narrative. And we as consumers, we are more aware than ever of these things. So I think that we have the opportunity as society to be more mature about how we face this new way of consuming digital content, and I hope that if you have a lawyer on hand, just let me know. But yeah.
Thank you.
I think this is the last question for tonight.
No, we have time.
Oh, okay. It's not the last question.
Hello. So, my question is, most likely you already considered this thing, but I haven't seen it in real. Have you considered using plots as in, there are VR elements, there are also VR plots.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you have this idea on your mind that you want to incorporate it into your technique or but this is my question.
It's a really good question, because like some of you see like a lot of the commercial work that we're doing, like most of our clients, they are just catching up with the things. Like in the folder with ideas, we have a lot. But the truth is that when you are like, we have two ways of doing things. One, like using the technology to do something cool, or the other to make it something useful. Sometimes the marketers go in between and like, I don't want something useful, I want something wow. And then you will need to deliver that thing with your own compromise. But these kind of ideas, for instance, like in the,
just because it has a two-faceted use, one for creative use, so imagine a ZBrush working in an art environment would be awesome, like the interactive, they touch everything.
No, like for instance, one of the Meta, the Meta headset was one of that promises, right? Like I have a headset that I connect to a powerful computer, and I have like the hand tracking in order to modify things. The guys like it's not the ones that it was occipital, and then now they're creating an AR headset that has a wonderful hand tracking, and that would be useful for some specific use cases. For instance, it has been used a lot of on-site training to repetitive tasks that you need to memorize and physical things. So it has been applied. So far, we haven't get the perfect time to deliver this kind of work.
And because another thing what I asked is that, as you can see in the rail itself, everybody's first notion was they wanted to touch it. And getting some kind of interaction for somebody who just wants to touch non-existent 3D something, it would be amazing. Like, I can't tell how many kids would want to touch a dinosaur, for example.
No, I do agree. I mean, one of the things that every once in a while we jump into, like, with my Facebook feed or whatever, right? Jumps this video with a lot of our videos, but saying like incredible 7D technology holograms in Japan, and it's the same videos that have like first of all, holograms like this just doesn't exist, and a lot of our clients just arrive like that, like, hey, you're the guys with the holograms, right? Like, I want your 7D technology because like I can touch like dinosaurs. For instance, that Magic Leap video of the whale coming from the classroom and splashing. That was super like harmful for the industry because it creates very bad expectations, and that's why I wanted to place in the presentation how to manage these expectations with a technology that has the potential to be incredible, but the technical challenges are not like delivering it yet. So yeah.
Hi, I have more of a technical question for you. Have you seen on mobile what they can do AR now? Like Google has machine learning cores and all kinds of magic tricks in their sleeves, and they can do a technique like cutting you in front of the real character. And this technology is right now theirs. We can say that. Have your R&D team looked into this kind of stuff, like you can walk in front of the polar bear, not just behind it?
Yeah, that's thanks for the question. That's why it's also super important for us to have a core team of research and development. And the way that we drive our research and development team is, well, I love scientists because they see a paper and they go after it and they get lost. So what we are trying to do now is like have a paper and have some kind of a backup of how can this be or have a commercial output. In 5 years or in 10, but that's the intention. So the amount of papers that we have been doing, like some of these kind of solutions, we are already starting to apply to the next generation of our products. And yeah, like machine learning, it will be something that it's interesting in the approach. But the challenges that you face is not just like I use like one of the frameworks, I train my system and I wait, because it's not like that. Like some of our products using computer vision are very specific to, like for instance, for measure engagement. So we have a lot of people in front of the screen, and it was a real need that we couldn't say what was the engagement with our installations. So we had the physical evidence, like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 50 people in the room. But now with computer vision, what we are doing with our other range of product is to analyze the faces and analyze the emotional response and deliver that thing into a dashboard that says, okay, in this presentation, that's a little bit boring. Like 50% of the female population between 23 and 28 were, like a little bit bored. So this kind of solution that makes sense, and it started as a personal, not personal, need for the company, but now it's translated into the new range of products. And I didn't want to touch this because it's more like not that like as exciting as a dinosaur. It's more like, wow, I see a frame in our mobile application. So yeah, but if you're interested, just I can share more of this information with the audience whenever you want.
Thanks.
Maybe.
So my question is that, do you have any estimation about when will mobile phones disappear and we will use digital contact lens screens or something like that? When we will just ditch the hardware?
Like they won't go anytime soon, but I think that like the next 5 years will be super interesting. It's super interesting because now we are in this always the expectation curve that is going high, is going high, is going high. But the truth is that as of today, they are just 2 devices commercially available that I can think that those are an interesting approach. That's HoloLens and Magic Leap with some concerns. And both of them are not like, I won't be wearing one on the street, like period. I think that the approach will be like more little by little, more like the ecosystem approach that I guess that Apple is going. But I think that like in the next 5 years, on the line of the next 5 years, we will see something interesting, and it won't be necessarily the Google Glass whole approach. It will be something that I didn't use like watches for years. I use it not just because I'm a geek of Apple or technology, but the amount of things that I do without thinking with these things is amazing. And I guess that some kind of glasses and form factor will arrive with the same thing. Even if it's just saying like, hey, you're going to be late for your presentation. be in that direction. So something simple.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, so what I would like to ask is that do you think with the cloud storage, or for example there's a technology for cloud rendering, and do you think that it's going to be useful for AR?
It definitely will be. So one of the key drivers of this technology, it will be a 5G network, like period, because content is still heavy and devices are still heavy. So for instance, HoloLens, you still are carrying a computer here. After 10 minutes, you are like, it's heavy. So that's why, for instance, the Magic Leap approach of having the computational power in a secondary device makes a little bit more sense, but still, like the optics are really heavy. So for augmented reality and for deliver high quality content, 5G will be one of the things, and the development of what they call the AR cloud. But the AR cloud mainly is mapping the 3D world in the same way that we have Google Maps. It will be the AR cloud that have the 3D information available. But it's scary in a way, like who will own it, or that's the thing. So in the same way, like now today you can choose if you go with Google Maps or you go with Apple Maps, or with any other solution. But the truth is that those highways are being built, and then we will see which. Like the truth is that the guys that already won are the guys that will win. Like Apple, Google, Facebook, hopefully not, but that's the truth. So what it will be interesting is now starting to see what will be the not just one killer application of augmented reality, but how it will be delivered under this infrastructure that is being built as we speak.
Okay.
No, thank you very much for your time. It was really nice to share the work that we are doing from Budapest with love with you, and thank you for the organization for inviting us.
Yeah, and thank you for this exciting presentation. And we would like to present to you with just a small something, which we always do. Some Hungarian wine.
That's super nice. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We are